Survivors in Syria have now split into groups and they're visiting 3 more uprising hotspots. They've already been to the flashpoint city of Homs, as we were reporting yesterday, where they found, quote, nothing frightening. Meantime, opposition activists in Syria are now suggesting over 30 people were killed by security forces Thursday. Let's talk to journalist Afshin Rattansi, who used to work in the region. He knows a lot about it. He's in London now tonight. Afshin, hi there. The Syrian regime's given its assessment. The Arab observers are doing the same, and human rights groups have all reported back. Who do you think can give the most credible account of what's really happening on the ground there?
Well, I don't think the Western media is giving much of an accurate assessment of what's going on. They're now they had great hopes of the Arab League, a group of Arab dictators, people going down and checking on human rights in another country. Now that's turned because of that assessment in Homs. The Western and mainstream media all says, oh, the Arab League delegation is all wrong because they have a Sudanese head of it, and Sudan is a country that doesn't agree with Western policy either.
So let's just talk about the Arab League, because that's really the main focus here, those Arab League observers. A lot of people questioning the mission's impartiality, saying they're already siding with the Syrian regime. I didn't quite get the gist of what you were telling me there. You're saying you believe them about what they're saying happened in Homs or hasn't happened in Homs, or you don't believe them?
I think the Arab League delegation has its own politics. It's a very complex range of countries, a lot of dictators of those countries. But I think the main aspect of the whole crisis in Syria, and it is a crisis, is that we have a government in Syria that has helped so many thousands of people's human rights. You were just talking about Gaza on your show. And Syria has helped national liberation movements in the Middle East, and one must always remember that. But now, the Assad government, and I was in Damascus a couple of times in the past year or so, the Assad government hasn't reacted as it should have to the human rights demonstrators. But, of course, we know why the West is now so concerned about Syria and will continue to ignore human rights violations in Bahrain and Saudi Arabia. We're only hearing about Syria for one reason, and that is that Syria has stood up for the human rights of Arab peoples in the region. So what the Arab League says, it doesn't matter that much. One interesting aspect is that sanctions that have been in there since the 1970s have helped the Syrian government become very autonomous and independent. And it's a big loss to European oil companies, Canadian oil companies, to Royal Dutch Shell, because China, India, and Iran are all moving in to take up where those foreign interests were. So good economic times ahead for the Syrian people, I'd say.
I go back, though, to my first point, Afshin. Who should we turn to? Who should we believe for the information about what's actually going on there? A lot of people are reporting back, but it's difficult to know what to believe, isn't it?
Well, the Syrian government should allow journalists in, of course, but it's certainly the Western media's viewpoint that we must believe opposition groups. It seems that any mobile footage is now accepted as a source, and Reuters and Associated Press are reporting routinely unverified reports. Certainly what the Arab League said about Homs differed a great deal from the reports we've been getting on TV channels of massacres continually going on. What is in no doubt is that thousands of Syrian soldiers are dying, and they haven't died because of peaceful protest. The worry is that what we now have on our hands is a battle between Saudi Arabia and Turkey over Syria. And as to who we can believe, well, we'll have to depend on voices that are very much for the non-aligned movement and away from Western interests.
There's another theory I wanted to run.
We're getting no truth.
Just in the last 30 seconds or so, there's another quick theory I wanted to run past you. Syria is under intense international pressure now. We've witnessed that. It's also a close ally of Iran. Are those two situations connected in any way?
Well, I think Iran has found its hand to be very strong, which is why we're hearing so much about the Straits of Hormuz and this verbal standoff that's happening at the moment. I think Iran is obviously watching things very closely, but this isn't a Libya. Syria is a linchpin of the Middle East, and the United States and other countries, some of their more intelligent people, realize that there will be turmoil right across the Middle East if anything happens to destabilize the Assad government from outside forces. But certainly Syria, the Syrian government itself, has to step up the pace, because it's certainly losing the propaganda battle.
Afshin Rattansi, author and journalist, thank you for your thoughts on RT.